Welcome back to the blog, folks. We're here with baby. So, if you can't tell by the adorable outfit that our cousin got us, we're doing the Little Mermaid this week. Yay! So, for those of you who don't know, the Little Mermaid came out in 1989. Which makes this the first movie that we've watched where we've actually been alive when the movie came out. True. So The Little Mermaid was the 28th feature animated film by Walt Disney. It made $84 million when it came out at box office. And really The Little Mermaid is giving credit for breathing life back into the animated classics like they did in the 60s and 70s. And bringing around what we now call the Disney Renaissance of the 90s. So The Little Mermaid, when they were in production, they actually started thinking about doing the production of The Little Mermaid back in the 1930s. Another example of how a good idea never dies at Disney. So apparently, if you don't know, Disney MGM Studios also opened in 1989 as an actual working studio, and The Little Mermaid was one of the first movies that they worked on besides Who Framed Roger Rabbit at the studios.
One of those wildly more popular than the other.
Yes. So what was the first time that you watched The Little Mermaid as a kid?
Yesterday.
You had never watched The Little Mermaid all the way through until yesterday?
I don't think so.
Really? That's sad. I watched it a million times. It was my favorite. I remember I had a Little Mermaid towel that I used for nap time in kindergarten. It was my favorite. Yeah. I loved it.
I had no desire to be a mermaid or a princess, so it wasn't really in my wheelhouse of movies.
That's understandable.
I wanted to be a dinosaur much more than I wanted to be a princess, so...
So it was the first time that you watched The Little Mermaid yesterday. What did you think?
In one sitting.
Yeah.
I've seen it before, but just in
segments.
Bits and pieces.
So all the way through, you watched it from start to finish in one sitting.
That I can remember. Yeah.
That you can remember. What'd you think?
Seems like a very self-centered little girl singing about, I have everything I could ever want, I want more, to be honest.
Pretty good way of putting it. I mean, I've always loved The Little Mermaid. I think Ursula was one of the scarier villains that Disney's come up with. I had legit nightmares about her sometimes. But all in all, I love the music. Obviously, I love music, and the music in The Little Mermaid is fantastic. And there's just something very iconic about Jodie Benson's voice acting. For that, you instantly hear her voice and it's Ariel.
I mean, it was a fun movie. There was a lot of fun little quips and stuff in it, other than the glaring plot hole.
Don't ruin the movie.
She can't sing, but what about writing her name in the sand and say I can't speak for 3 days. I need you to kiss me before then.
Because that would be
done.
She doesn't know how to write.
She signed her name on a contract.
She had a magical pen that went for her.
In her hand, she wrote her name on the contract. She knows how to write. She's a princess. Even back in the olden days, royalty knew how to write. Just saying.
So ridiculous. So this week, we kind of kept it low-key as far as activities go. And we had a special treat to have with our movie watching, which was mermaid ice cream. And now it is time for Pinterest Success or Failure. This is the segment where we take a pin off of Pinterest and see if it actually works in real life. Shh, baby's sleeping. This week we're doing no churn mermaid ice cream. And theoretically, it should turn out like this. Having made ice cream in the past, I was very impressed with the lack of ingredients that this ice cream required. It's basically glorified whipping cream, and I am totally okay with that. So I got my electric mixer and I poured my whipping cream in and made sure that it was whipped up enough to where it was forming stiff peaks. You don't want to over churn it because then you're making butter. Then I added the condensed milk into the batter, so to speak, and then separated that batter into 4 separate bowls, just like the instructions said. You will also notice that I forgot to add vanilla before I separated the whipping cream into 4, so I just took the amount of vanilla divided by 4 and put it into each of the 4 bowls. Then came the fun part. I decided that I wasn't going to try to match any colors to the recipe. I was just going to make up the colors that I wanted. So I decided on a light teal, a dark teal, kind of a red, pink color, and then I wanted a purple color. Definitely helps if you remember your color wheel from kindergarten to know how to make these colors using only 4 dyes. Then I added sprinkles. I had decided to add 2 different types of sprinkles. The fun colored sprinkles I mixed in separately to each color so that I wouldn't mix all of the colors together before, because then you don't get that swirl effect. And then you take one of each color and you take turns scooping it into your pre-frozen pan. I had a lot of fun doing this. I didn't worry about mixing the colors too much, but I got a nice effect as I was going along. And then you take a spoon or anything like that and you just kind of zigzag it back and forth to make that swirl effect at the end. And then to top it off, we all know that there are pearls at the bottom of the sea, so I got my pearl-shaped sprinkles and sprinkled them over the top. All in all, I think we had a success. Then the other thing that we did this week was this one has grown out of her sleep sack, but she still won't fall asleep without it. Except for once at Grandma's house. And so I needed to
unicorn
make her,
day.
Yeah, I need to make her a new sleep sack. And I was like, how cute would it be if the sleep sack made her look like a mermaid? So the important things to me for this project were to use materials that I had laying around the house. And then this was also my first time trying to make up my own pattern, so I was definitely on a learning curve when it came to this project. So I cut out enough fabric for a front and a back, making sure that the back was 1 piece and the front was 2 pieces. I also then had a purple piece that would wrap around the arms as the swaddle. I started by sewing the zipper on the front, then I stitched the bottom where the zipper didn't reach. Then I pinned the front to the back and serged the seams. Then I hemmed the top collar and the sleeves, and then I hemmed the swaddle portion of the sleep sack. Then I attached the swaddle part to the back, just kind of guessing where I thought it was supposed to go. I ended up doing it a little bit too far up. And then I attached the Velcro to the swaddle portion of the sleep sack. All in all, I think it ended up turning out all right. It wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be, but it was definitely a great learning experience for me. And I think half the sewing is just finding projects that are going to teach you how to do things better.
So all in all, we had a fun time watching the movie. You got a few fun little projects and treats done.
Yep.
And I guess you'll need to sign in next week to see what we're doing then.
Bye!
Say bye.
Bye.